Hello, everyone. My name is Cynthia Grande. I am the career advisor and outreach manager for the Master of Science in Drug Development and Product Management at UC San Diego. I want to thank you all for taking the time out of your day to listen to this virtual information session. My role here in the program is to help the students with career guidance and help promote the program. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to Kiana Adams.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is Kiana Adams. I'm working as the graduate program coordinator and academic advisor, and I assist with admissions, matriculation, and enrolled students. And I will pass it off to Dr. E.
Good morning, everyone. My name is William Etwati. I am the managing director for the program. Trained as a PharmD, I will give you a bit more information about the program, and then we'll be here to answer questions. And with that, Matt, would you like to introduce yourself briefly, even though you will have time to speak a lot more later on?
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Dr. E. My name is Matt Rota. I'm an alumni of, or alumnus, I should say, of DDPM a couple years back. I currently am help starting a small biotech company as a vice president of operations.
All right, and we are in 2026, so just so everybody knows, this is basically, we are now currently recruiting for the cohort that will start in September, actually at late September of 2026. So let me talk to you about what the program is all about, and I'll give you some of the key features, I'll give you some of the key benefits later on, and then I'll go a little bit more in detail throughout the curriculum. So the way we designed this program, I actually co-founded this program with Dr. Ma, who, if you have looked at our website, is also the faculty director, and I'm the managing director. Basically, we designed the program for professionals who work in the pharma and biotech world, who have a little bit of experience. Some of them actually have a lot of experience, but because they want to advance their career. And the program basically goes from I would say 2 years pre-IND all the way to post-market utilization. And again, I'll go a bit more in detail. Some of the key features is that it is basically an immersive full-time experience. It is in the evening, so it's designed for working professionals. You will be assigned faculty mentor at the beginning of the program. Actually, you will create what is called a strategic and tactical career plan, which is, think of it as a business plan on yourself. So that way to help you design where you think you want to go based on what you are going to learn. We will talk about the amazing networking opportunity that you will have in pharma and biotech, not only through our now over 200 alumni, but also through all the guest speakers that are practitioners who work in the pharmaceutical and biotech industry. If you're not familiar with San Diego, it's the third largest life science market in the US, which is important. We actually have a great collaboration with Biocom here in town, which has something like over 900 companies that are part of the basically network of San Diego Biotech. The program is also competitively priced, and more importantly, you can complete it in 9 months. So it's a full Master of Science, which is also important for international students in the sense that you will be able to find a job and stay in the US to work in the US. The program does not do career placement, but we give you plenty of opportunities for networking. And of course, we have both Kiana and Cynthia, who can be helping you in looking for positions. Next slide, please. So the key benefits of the program is and this is really key. We are teaching you skills that you will be able to apply directly to many types of jobs. And I will go through the kinds of jobs that our alumni have been getting, even though they had absolutely no knowledge in certain fields that we taught them. It's taught by industry professionals. I myself spent 17 years in the pharma and biotech. Dr. Ma was at Amgen. Many of our co-chair actually work currently in pharma and biotech. And as I mentioned, all courses have a lot of guest speakers. Many of them now are actually our alumni who have been doing extremely well in their new positions. So as I mentioned, you are going to learn the entire drug development process. This is not a drug discovery program. I want to be very clear on that. You're not going to have labs. And we're not going to talk about discovery. There are other programs at UCSD, if that's what you are interested in, that you should look at. So 2 years pre-IND all the way to post-market utilization, meaning that you are going to understand how to design clinical trial, you're going to understand regulatory affairs, you're going to understand pharmacoeconomics, marketing, business. You are even going to design a business plan in terms of creating a new biotech startup. So again, you're going to have an extensive amount of knowledge from preclinical all the way to post-market utilization. Next slide, please. So I'm going to go quickly over each quarter and the courses that you will be basically having. The courses are taught in the evening, as I mentioned, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursday from 4 to 8 p.m. So it's designed for, working professionals. And I would say that every year, when we have about 2/3 of our class, it depends on the years, is US-based. Every single one of our students is working for a biotech or a pharma company. Our international students cannot work unless they have a green card of a US citizen, but they can also do some work in some of the labs at UCSD that they have to find on their own. So Q1, you have 4 courses. Opportunity in Pharma and Biotech, which I teach. In that course, you are going to design your strategic and tactical career plan, which, as I mentioned, is like a mini business plan on yourself. Thinking about doing introspection. You will be paired with a mentor, which very often, actually this year, I want to thank greatly our advisory board, which Matt will tell you later on, alumni advisory board, with a number of our alumni. So based on your experience, based on your interest, you will be paired with a mentor that will help you throughout the year to really think about the different options that you have. Of course, the faculty is always there to help you from that perspective. The other thing that I teach in that course is ethics in the pharmaceutical and biotech industry, which is absolutely important. And you will also learn in that course how to analyze business cases. So I use a lot of business cases from the top business school, Harvard, Stanford, MIT, USC, all these top schools have access to actually the entire repository library of business cases. So in that course, I will teach you how to use that, because for many of you, you have never done this. The second course is on, and not necessarily in that order, but in pharmaceutics for small molecule and macromolecule, that is taught by a Chantal Reed, who is a PhD in bioengineering, absolutely, phenomenal. She actually works full-time in pharma and biotech. And in that course, you will basically reverse engineer a project, and you will have basically understanding of formulation. So for example, in the field of small molecule, if you have a drug that is completely insoluble, you're going to have problem because you're not going to be able to have bioavailability. And you will need to think about how to design basically maybe a delivery system or changing your basically formulation so that it can become a drug. And same thing goes for biologics. The third course is in pharmacotherapy and disease that is being taught by Dr. Andrew Williford, who's a PharmD PhD actually, who is going to teach you basically all the disease area and all the big therapeutic area that exists today and that are in development. In that course, you are going to learn about oncology, you're going to learn about cardiovascular diseases, you're going to learn about infectious disease, and so on and so forth. You're going to learn about CNS diseases. And it's really important to understand the fundamental of all these diseases so that you can better understand the pharmacotherapy and the drug development process on how that applies. The fourth course is taught by Dr. Monper, another PharmD PhD, who used to work at the FDA actually. And in that course, you are going to understand how to file an IND, an investigational new drug application, and an NDA. You also learn how to file in Europe with the EMA. You will also learn to file in Japan, so the major pharmaceutical markets, if you will. which is where most of pharma and biotech company concentrate their effort, because that's where basically they can make most of their money. So again, as you can see, very comprehensive. The first quarter, I would say, is usually a bit easier for students because it's more geared towards the scientific side. So if you already have a science background, it's a little bit easier. We move on to the winter quarter. In winter, it becomes a little bit more difficult. And the reason it becomes a bit more difficult is two reasons. Number one, for many of you, you will have never heard about most of the stuff we are going to teach you. Number two, it's a little bit more quantitative. Okay. So, but again, it's not linear algebra or anything of that sort. Or Calc 3 and so on and so forth. You don't have to do this, but you will still need to have some computational skills when you are entering, which is why we're looking for STEMS degree, preferably. So 3 courses in here, all of them 4 units. The first course, and again, not particularly in that order, is clinical trial development, which is being taught by Dr. Ma, Dr. Ken Kern, and Dr. Sam Richter. Dr. Ma, as I mentioned, is co-faculty director. Dr. Ken Kern and Dr. Richter are both MDs who actually work at Pfizer. I think Dr. Kern just recently retired, but spent many, many years doing clinical trial development and designing clinical trial. In that course, and many of our alumni want to go into clinical development, which is great, which is why we also created this program. You will learn how to basically design a trial from phase 0 all the way to phase 3. You will actually write an entire clinical protocol as part of your major project for that course. Again, all of the courses have a lot of guest speakers that will come and teach also what they practice every single day. The second course is health outcome evidence. And this is taught by Dr. Cuomo, Rafael Cuomo, who's a PhD in health economics. And that course actually links really well with the marketing course and pharmacoeconomics course that I teach with Dr. Doshi, who's a PhD, who's a PharmD and VP of pharmacoeconomics, which is at DDPM 208. In the health outcome evidence course, you are going to basically look at how clinical data in phase 2, 3, and 4 become really relevant in terms of understanding the drug from an economic standpoint. And that's going to be really critical with pharmacoeconomics, where when you are trying to establish pricing and you are trying to get reimbursement, if you do not have good pharmacoeconomics data, that is going to be a major issue for you to have a drug, to launch your drug, okay? So the third course is in principle of marketing and product management and product value. In that course, you will build an entire marketing plan on a drug that we assign to you. You will write that marketing plan and pharmacoeconomic plans. You will do primary and secondary market research. You will have courses in market access, which, by the way, is probably the most important factor to have a successful drug launch. If you do not have market access, you basically do not have, you will not be able to launch your drug. For example, in Europe, in many countries, your drug can be approved by the EMA, the European Medicine Agency, but if you have to negotiate the price with the governments, if they don't give you, if they don't agree to your price and your reimbursement, you cannot launch your drug. In the US, which is very segmented, if, for example, you are managing, you can basically set up whatever price you want, but if Medicare tells you they are not going to pay for it, or if Kaiser Permanente, that has about 50 million, lives, patients, under their plan tells you that cannot be on the formulary, you basically are missing huge opportunities. So really understanding all the intricacy of pharmacoeconomics, understanding how that's going to affect the success of your launch is going to be critical. You will also learn what is lifecycle management and new product planning, Many of these courses, again, will give you skills in specific area that are directly applicable to jobs. Okay, and I'll go on that a bit later so that you can see the types of jobs that our alumni have been able to get. Next slide, please. So after Q2, you have Q3. You know, you have, I think, a week break for during spring, which is not a lot, I know. And one of the things I want to mention as well is, you know, I always use kind of that image. Just think that you are going to be drinking out of the fire hose in terms of what you're going to be learning. This is a graduate program, meaning that you have to be fully engaged when you are in class. All classes are mandatory and require your full attention and preparation. So in Q3, you have 3 more courses. One, which is biologics, biosimilar. I think we need to change that title because we cover stem cell therapy, we cover gene therapy, we cover mRNA therapies. So that course basically is more geared towards the biologic sides of things and novel therapeutic areas. There is 2 other co-chairs. Dr. Ma is the lead. There is Dr. Hubert Chen, who's an MD, and I believe now he's Chief Medical Officer as well as CEO of a biotech company. And then one other actually faculty, Dr. Niels Van Castle, who is also part-time CEO of a biotech company. And in that area, you're going to understand the drug development, how it differs from small molecule when you are developing a biologic or a cell therapy or an mRNA therapy. And again, you will have many guest speakers that are working in those specific fields that will come and talk to you about the key differences on how you develop these drugs. The second course is taught by Dr. Nikki Nogal, who is a PhD in bioengineering. She's actually going to teach you project management, which is very different than product management. Product management is a marketing function. Project management can be applied across any area. You can be a project manager in marketing. You can be a project manager in clinical development. You can be a project manager in drug discovery. Really, it does not, you can have that position across all of the entire pipeline, if you will, from discovery or to post-market utilization, so which is quite important. And then the other person that is teaching in here who has an MBA is Dr. Anne Petrie. Actually, she's not a doctor. She has an MBA. She has a master's degree. And Anne has actually spent most of her career in the healthcare sector, but in insurance market. And this is where, again, you're going to be introduced to market access in marketing and understand the importance of market access and the differences between the US market and the European or Asian market. But Anne is going to really teach you about the US market and how managed care and market access is absolutely essential in terms of being able to get your drug on the formularies of all these insurance companies, which is extremely fragmented here in the US. The last course is a course I teach with 2 co-chairs. It's called Corporate Development, Entrepreneurship, IP Law, and Corporate Law. And this is kind of a seminal course. It's a course where you are going to basically design a new biotech company. We'll tell you where to find the ideas, and you're going to write an entire investor presentation. So you are going to understand valuation, you are going to understand how to analyze deal structure, you are going to understand basically the whole entrepreneurship concept. What is strategy? How do you develop strategy? Which has nothing to do with strategic plan. That's an implementation. It's actually kind of a misdemeanor to call it a strategic plan because it's really an implementation plan. You will also learn how you are not going to become an IP counsel, but our IP counsel, who actually works at Thermo Fisher, Alper Erta, will be teaching you basically all the importance and how to search, IP databases, both in the US and in Europe. So that's going to be also an important part, which, if you don't have IP, you basically don't have a product. And then you also learn about corporate law with, I think, Dr. Moayedi, who's also, both of them are actually counsel. One is an IP counsel, the other one is corporate attorney. And in there, you are going to understand all the issues that are related to financing from the perspective of, when you file an IPO, when you do private, capital raising, and so forth. So that course, at the end, what you will have, your final project for that course will be this entire investor presentation, where you will incorporate everything you have learned throughout the entire program. Next slide, please. So who are we looking for? So our ideal candidate has 2 to 3 years of work experience in the pharma biotech. Having said that, we have had students only with 1 year of work experience, some even with less than that, but it's very holistic. We interview every single student that we feel could be a good fit for the program. We give you an opportunity to also ask us questions, which I think is important. We are looking for people with a 3.0 GPA. You need to have an undergraduate degree from an accredited university, both domestic or international. We also have every year, at PharmD, MDs, MBAs, we have had actually MDs who completely changed their career. They were clinicians and they really wanted to work in industry. And after being 10 years clinicians, they basically did this program and now work in pharma. And we basically recruit students, the best students wherever we can, domestic or international. We want basically the best students because we want to make sure that they are successful. Next slide, please. Countries represented in DDPM cohort. This is actually also good up until 2026, but it's basically, as you can see, across the world. The idea to have an international cohort, which I should mention is usually very small, between 30 to 35 students. The idea behind this is that drug development or commercialization is a global enterprise. So it's really important that we have a cohort that is representative of many countries. One other thing I did not mention is that in every single course and every single quarter, you will be working in teams where you will be working on multiple projects. The teams will change every quarter, and you will be working with people that maybe you don't really want to work with. And that, again, is very helpful to help you grow in terms of getting better soft skills, which are absolutely fundamental when you are looking for jobs, beside the hard skills that I talked about. Next slide, please. So this is just a very small representation of our alumni and guest speakers and companies for which they work for. As you can see, it's very diverse. What this means is that you, as a new student, you will actually, so I have created since the beginning a LinkedIn group for our alumni, guest speakers, and faculty. And you will have access to that LinkedIn group, which is by invitation only. You need to be a student of DDPM, which will then give you that amazing network of people in all these companies. Meaning that, if you are looking for a job, for example, at Thermo Fisher or at Regulus or Gilead, actually, I just had one of my alumni just said that, he just actually got a brand new job at Gilead. You will have a contact there. It does not mean you will have a job, but you will have a contact in order for you to be introduced to the company, and you will have somebody that went through the same program you did that you can speak to and say, hey, how is it to work at Gilead, or how is it to work at Amgen or at Regulus, and so forth. By the way, I saw that there is a job. I'm really interested. Would you be willing to send forward my CV to the hiring manager? I would say that I've never heard a student telling me that an alumni did not want to do that. But you have to do this the right way. You can't just go and say, hey, can you get me a job? That's not how it works, okay? You have to do the work yourself. And of course, then you have to use the network. So that's really important. This is something that we are very happy to see that our students have been extremely successful, as I said. There's not a year that goes by where I don't get an email from one of my alum saying, "Hey, Dr. E, just wanted to let you know I'm getting a new job and this is great." I actually still help some of our alumni in certain areas with interview preps and sometimes even salary negotiations. So it's kind of always fun for me to hear that our students and alumni are doing so well. Next slide, please. Here are the types of jobs that alumni get, okay? And this is just a very small list, but let's say in clinical development, I told you we have a number of students, alumni who work in that field. Maybe they were in early research and now they moved into clinical development. The one that I remember the most, which was really probably the most drastic, was one of our students who used to work for a law firm as a paralegal. She had a very strong science background. She was in biotech field, and she's now a clinical trial project manager. Because she didn't want to stay in a law firm. So that's to me is really amazing. But we have had many other people who did not have experience in clinical development who are now working in that field. The other area I'm very happy to hear, actually a couple of areas. One is the marketing and pharmacoeconomics. To my great pleasure, I should say, and happiness in saying that, what we teach actually is definitely applicable. Many of our students competed against MBAs from top schools and landed product management positions when they had zero marketing background when they first started. Some of them are at very strategic level, so like global, international product manager. International product manager. Others have more roles in market research. Others have more role on the sales side and operational side. So again, something that's really important. We also have other students who have actually gone into pharmacoeconomics, which is another field that MBA's school do not teach, which is absolutely essential when you work in pharma. And then other areas, which Matt is one of them, he will tell you all about himself in a moment. But really important, we have had people in business development who never had an understanding of BD. We have now CEOs of biotech companies, which I'm actually ecstatic about and, is amazed about how our students has done well. Obviously, if you have 1 year of work experience, you're not going to become CEO tomorrow. But again, you will have what is needed to learn to one day potentially go into that position. We have other who are in corporate development or medical publication. Again, many, many areas that that basically reflects the skills we teach you. Next slide, please. And with that, I'm going to be quiet because I've talked too much. Matt, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. E. Hello, everybody. It feels like not that long ago I was on the other side of this information session, so it's such a pleasure to come back and hopefully inspire or be able to answer questions that you might have about the program. I just want to give you a couple points today, a little bit about myself, how I use this degree, how it contributed and how it contributed, and then how it's still contributing to my current experience. So just want to say, a couple years back, I was right out of school. I was couple years into my career, I had worked for a big contract development manufacturing organization called Catalent. And I was learning a lot about manufacturing and small molecule, but I also had curiosities about large molecule, curiosities about clinical trial development, what it was like on the sponsor side. I had no idea what regulatory affairs was. And so I wanted to seek that all out. But at any given company, you're never going to learn all of it. So I found DDPM. I thought it was a perfect match. I was extremely excited about the opportunity to join the cohort in 2020, even through the global pandemic. Um, I started to learn a lot from Dr. E and the other professors. I started to use what I was learning every day, and I have absolute certainty that what I was learning and how I was applying it, and therefore this degree, helped me in my career ascension. So at the time I started the program, I was a program manager. I went to a commercial operations manager, kind of a little bit of a pivot in my career. I then became a director a couple years later, a senior director a couple years later, and now I'm leading my own biotech company as we chart our own path in our first clinical trial in Australia. So, when I reflect back on how the program played a role. Not only is it career ascension, but it was the things that we did in the program. It was first and foremost that strategic and tactical career plan. I had no idea when we made it how influential it was going to be to sitting back and understanding who I wanted to be in my career, who I wanted to be in my life, and what it took to get there. And just mapping out the step by step, and then having the patience and execution to go through with that. I think the learnings from things outside of the manufacturing process that I was already familiar with was also incredibly helpful. Again, clinical operations, regulatory affairs, the IP and law piece is huge. You don't really think about that. That's probably one of the more critical things I've learned and am still battling through as we try to establish our own patent landscape with the company that I'm currently a part of or creating. And then that business plan, I mean, it teaches you everything from finances and how to throw it all together because you can understand bits and pieces here and there in its own section, but putting it all together was a really great challenge and taught me a lot. And then lastly, it also just gave me confidence that I could learn those things, even if I wasn't an expert in regulatory affairs or I'm not a lawyer. I can't file my own patent, right? But at least I understand that it's important and I know who to go to. So there was some confidence in myself that I think really helped in many ways. And then I also had confidence in my network. If I didn't know something, I can know who to go ask now. I have colleagues, I have classmates, I have mentors, I have professors who I can call upon and say, "Hey, I have this question. Where should I go next?" And that sort of security blanket is incredible. And that also led me to my last point here, and then I'll give the stage back to everybody else. It made me feel like I needed to give back, or that other people could benefit from this, and so I joined the alumni board, the first kind of creation of the alumni board, to make sure that we're doing the best thing we can for the students currently, and that we continue to connect the current classes with the past classes, because the past classes are the future of biotech in San Diego. You could even argue of the globe. It's funny that the slide forward to this says something like, here are all the positions that alumni have taken. And I remember that same slide or a similar slide, and most of them were assistant or manager or this or that. Maybe there was one director. Now there are senior directors, there are vice presidents, there are CEOs, and the program is relatively young. It's still only 7 or 8 years old. So I think that this is a huge investment in yourself. One part that I'll just go back to real quick is when I was deciding between DDPM and another degree, which for me, what fit in my life was either going back to get a PharmD or a top 10 MBA or something. The cost of those was a huge mountain to climb. And the amount of time that it took to get the degree was also a little bit prohibitive. So the fact that you get this great value in just 9 months, I think can be career changing. I know it can be career changing because I'm evidence of it. So, yeah, happy to be here and always willing to take your questions if you have any for me. Yeah, thanks for the time.
Matt, do you want to talk briefly about the alumni board and the role that the alumni board is going to play? Because I think it's important for students. This is something we just created actually last year, and Matt is co-president, I believe, with. So, do you want to talk a little bit
Yeah,
about it?
sure. Yeah. So the alumni board, as in any board, is a guiding body that is supposed to help you know help engage the alumni and make sure that we're getting the most out of the alumni. So we're looking at things like pairing for the mentorship programs, doing networking events. I mean, as you mentioned, Dr. E, there are going to be many opportunities in the future for folks to contact alumni, they're either their classmates or former classmates, and say, "Hey, I see this position is open. Would you like to tell me about it?" Well, we want to set up events where you don't need to reach out over LinkedIn, but you can meet that person in person, and you can have that conversation and forge a connection. And then it's a lot less of a cold call and much more of a, "Hey, I know this person." So I have worked for 3 companies, including the one I'm at right now. Even though I've only been at this one for a couple months and there's only 3 employees,
But my last two companies, I reached out to several times, either in regards to interest in DDPM or in regards to, hey, I did DDPM or I'm in DDPM. Would you tell me more about this job opportunity or would you connect me? And I was always extremely happy to do so. So I totally agree with you, Dr. E. It's not 9 times out of 10 they'll direct you to it. It's 10 times out of 10. We're always happy to engage with you. So yeah, just again, an incredible program, and I can't wait to see how the alumni board can guide the alumni to be even stronger than they are today.
Thank you, Matt. Next slide, please. Okay, so Kiana, take it
Great.
away.
Thank you, Matt. Yes, I'll talk about program logistics. So I'll be going over application information, some financial information, and class times and locations. Next slide, please. So the first thing you should know is we have a rolling admissions process, which means the sooner you submit an application, the sooner the process starts and you will know your application status. So how that works is you'll submit an application, the admissions committee will review it. If they decide they want to interview you, we'll schedule an interview. And then the admissions committee will decide either accept or deny from there. And then if admitted, you'll receive your offer letter pretty shortly after that. So again, the sooner you submit an application, this process will get started. To be eligible for this program, you must have a minimum of 1 year relevant working experience in the life science field. But again, as Dr. E said, 2 to 3 strongly preferred, and a bachelor's degree in a relevant field with a minimum 3.0 GPA. So while you are looking at the application and getting ready to submit it, the things you'll need to upload are a current resume or CV, your unofficial transcripts, a statement of purpose, just talking about why you want to do this program and that you are aware of what it entails and you have a good understanding of what this program is. 3 letters of recommendation, preferably from a current supervisor or employer. And then for international students, a TOEFL, IELTS, or Duolingo test scores need to be uploaded, and there's no GRE or GMAT required. Next slide, please. So for some financial information, the total cost of the program is $36,670. That's not including campus-based fees or graduate student health insurance if needed or parking. So the total will be a little bit above that listed number. Financial aid options, there is a merit-based scholarship for U.S. citizens or permanent residents, and that is an essay application, and the instructions can be found on the website for how to apply for that. Government or commercial loans, and then private sport, employer, government, family, personal savings. And then other costs, just to note, there is an application fee. So it's $135 to apply. It is $155 for international applicants. And then if you are admitted into the program and you want to accept our admissions offer, there is an $1,000 deposit that will then roll over to your fall quarter tuition. So you'll only have to pay that once and that money will go toward the fall quarter. And then all of this, all these prices, all the tuition is the same for all admitted students. So California resident, non-resident, and international students, all of these numbers will be the same. Next slide, please. So Dr. E mentioned this a little bit as well, but classes will take place on campus Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in the evenings, 4 to 8 p.m. Again, it's mostly in-person instruction, primarily in person. There are some Zoom class sessions held, just if guest speakers aren't able to come in person. And then another note, there is a cumulative exam at the end of the spring quarter, but don't worry about that at all whatsoever. Okay, next slide, please. So applications are now open. The deadline to submit for fall 2026 is July, I believe it's 15th, not 16th, July 15th.
Yeah, apologies, I have to change this one.
We'll change that, but July 15th is the deadline if you want to start in fall 2026. And if you have any questions about any of that stuff that I just mentioned, logistics, you can email the main DDPM email address at the top or Cynthia or myself.